Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the Monday update video for the vegetable garden and fruit plants that I have in my yard. I've been doing this for probably 2.5 months now, from building this rack with the fluorescent lights on it and the LED panels down at the bottom. We've done the cool season vegetables, which are in the ground, and I'm going to show you those at the end of this video. I've got peas that are almost ready to pick, lettuce that is definitely ready to pick in the garden. I've been picking lettuce out of those bowls on the front porch. I'd said in this week's video I'd go ahead and put the warm season vegetables in the ground, and that is accurate, but it's going to be tomorrow or Wednesday before I get to it, so it'll be in next week's video. And the reason for that is it's poured a flood for the last 3 days, and I don't want to go put these out in sopping wet ground. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but I want to talk about a really important topic when we're growing things inside and then transitioning them to the outside, is that in that transition, the sun can do a significant amount of damage to our plants. And this is acclimating plants from the inside to the outside is something that I have a lot of experience with. Having had a nursery all those years, we rooted most of our material at my nursery, and we would root it in the late spring or early summer. I've done video series on propagating plants. And then I actually overwintered them in the house, and then we would bring them out in the early spring, right about now, right around April 15th on tax day. As long as it wasn't any severe cold going forward, we try to get them out of the house as early as possible. But we would take them out of a greenhouse that had a 50% shade cloth on it. 50% shade cloth means it had a cloth over the top of it that was blocking 50% of the sun. And we'd move them out to under a shade cloth that was blocking 25% of the sun. And then we would take them and put them in the full sun, and then we would pot them into the nursery by the 1st of May. And so there was about a 2-week transition period before we ended up putting them in the containers. We don't need to do that on these vegetable plants. It doesn't have to be 2 weeks, but there needs to be some sort of transition from your indoor space to your outdoor space, especially the later it is in the season. It's April 15th, and the sun is still slightly in the southern sky at this point. You know, it's moving east to west, of course, but it's slightly still in the southern part. By May 15th or so, it's directly over us, and it becomes more of an issue. So getting this done in my area by April 15th, I don't have to worry about it as much. And I've had them under these fluorescent tubes, and so they've been in really, really bright light. And so my transitioning is not that significant. If you had done these seedlings in a bright window, or let's say your house plants and you're putting those out in some more direct light, if they've just been in a bright window, that is not anywhere near what it is outside, you know, in terms of brightness, and the sun will burn them. Think about this like your skin. I get whiter and whiter and whiter all winter long, and then if I was to go from having been inside in November, December, January, February, March, and I go down to the beach on April 20th and don't put on any sunscreen, I'm going to get severely burned, having not been acclimated to the direct sun. And these plants go through the exact same transition. So if you just had them in a bright window, you'd want to take them outside maybe and put them in a shady space where they're going to get some direct sun during the day, and then you can adjust them over the course of maybe 3 or 4 days. That's all it's going to take. Just slightly more sun each day for 3 or 4 days, and then boom, they can go in the ground, no problem. But I want to point that out. If you take these things, if you've denied them any light at all from the outside, they do need to go through a transition stage or being acclimated from the inside to the outside. That's the term that we use, is acclimating. I always had to ask the people I was buying them rooted cuttings from at the nursery. I would always I learned to ask the question if they had been grown inside or outside. Some people grow their things I was buying from them just directly in the sun anyway, and so it didn't matter at all. So again, I just wanted to point that out. Make sure that you're thinking through you taking this beautiful tray of something like these peppers. I've put this much work and this much effort into, and just walking outside with it and assuming that you know, that they're ready for the full sun is probably not a good idea. So again, let's go outside and I'll show you the peas and harvesting some of that lettuce. And then in next week's video, you'll see these, all of these warm season things will be in the ground at that point, and I'll show you how I went about that. So here are the strawberries that I just have healed into this soil pile right here. They'll get planted this week as well once it dries out just a little bit, but they're putting on a significant amount of new growth right there. And I'll just pop these out of the ground and get them where they're in their permanent home this week. And I'll show you that next week, and I'll show you how I go about planting them. Something I almost forgot about is I got potatoes planted in these 4 bags, and I'm actually going to work on getting a few more done as well. I had shown these in last week's video, and they're all stretched out and everything, but I want to show you how fast this happened. I mixed a mixture of potting soil and some pine bark soil conditioner in here to create a little bit of drainage in this bag. And then the potatoes were put in here and laid sideways and just barely covered because I had had all that new growth on them. But I want to dig this piece up right here real quick, just so you guys can see this. Normally I wouldn't want to dig this up at this point, but right there, look how many roots I have. This is only like 3-4 days, and out here, I hope you can see all the roots that are on that piece. Okay, so what I've done here is I put about 3 to 4 inches of soil at the bottom, put these potatoes in, covered them up slightly, and as I see the new growth coming, and right there's some new growth coming, as I see a few leaves form here, I'm actually going to cover them up. I'm going to bury them with another 2 inches of soil, another 2 inches of soil the next week, another 2 inches of soil. Every time I see the leaves come up through it, I'm going to bury them just a little bit more until this bag is completely full. And potatoes will form along all those stems that rise up from the bottom of the grow bag there. But similar right here, I've already got some new growth. I don't think you'll be able to see that, but there's new growth coming. So within the next 3 to 4 days, I'll go ahead and add some additional soil. I had some leaves and stuff blow into this bag. It's been an absolutely wild ride, but there's new growth coming right here. Hope you can see that. So the peas really took off this week and have gotten almost to the top of the trellis here. And you can see one right here that's pretty much ready to pick. If I wanted to pick it today, I could probably find maybe 10 in here today, but within just a few days, there'll be a crazy number. They are absolutely covered in flowers, as you can see right there. The flower happens right there, and then the pea forms right behind the flower, and they fill in very, very quickly. And they have not minded the amount of rain we've gotten. This is something that can actually, it can really tolerate that kind of moisture and just really put on some growth in a hurry. I'll have to actually be careful with these. They've grown based on the amount of moisture that they've been getting, and it's been it's been a lot. And so I think if it got dry for several days here, these would start losing some leaves in the bottom pretty quickly. So I'll keep an eye on the watering of these peas. So here's some of the lettuce that we planted here a few weeks back, and I haven't picked anything out of here, but I'm going to now, and I just put it directly in my salad spinner right here. But with these lettuce leaves, you can just go in here and just snap them off like this. If you want to use a pair of scissors or something, you can, but generally speaking, they just pop right off like that. We need to go through here and make sure we're getting all the lower leaves off of these plants, because it's very helpful. Even if you're not going to eat that particular leaf, even if it doesn't look that great, get it out of there and get it in the compost pile. We'd like to get some air movement around the base of these plants. It also is very helpful in preventing slugs and that kind of thing by keeping it dry around them and not allowing them to be in contact with one another. Just don't ever pick anything out of the center of the plant. The center of the plant is where all the new growth is coming. What we want to do is concentrate on getting the older leaves out. And if you stay on top of this, it'll all be in good shape. If you don't, I let these overlap a little bit, and I've ended up with some, spotty, chewed up things underneath where it stayed too wet. Those I'll put in the compost pile. The fresh leaves that aren't spotted up like that will go directly into my salad spinner here, and I'll get it cleaned up. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll be back next Monday and show you how I planted all of the summer vegetables at that point. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel to follow along.